Anime was once a nerdy subculture, but it's now exploded in popularity across the world and bringing with it the rise in anime conventions. AniManGaki, however, is one of Malaysia's OG cons and continues to be a space where anime, comic, and video game fans can gather together to celebrate their passions. This year, the event saw the likes of Your Name and Suzume anime studio Comics Wave, Video Game Sky, Children of the Light, as well as cosplayer Hakken attend the event as exhibitors and guests. In this week's episode, Arief shares his wholesome con experience at AniManGaki and chats with its founder, Yvonne Sing, to better understand the convention's passion for all things otaku and its strong commitment to community. This is the 20M Podcast. Welcome to the 20M Podcast, the show about video games and people behind them. I stuttered for a little while because this week's episode is a little bit different. We are going to talk a bit about games, but overall, we're going to mostly talk about Arief's experience at AniManGaki.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Arief, and this is Rino.
That's it. That's right.
Yeah, it's not like we have to intro the podcast. Yeah, no, that's really funny because I was going to make fun of you for the hesitancy, but you're totally right. This is an anime-filled episode with a little bit of game sprinkled into it.
Exactly. So
as you drink out of your Pika for audio listeners, Rino just select like in the exact time that we said that, drinks out of this amazing Pikachu mug. What the hell, man?
Can I just do like a 2-minute segue and explain? Yeah, so I'm wearing Pikachu and I'm drinking out of Pikachu because I've been playing a lot of Smash in the past week, right? And I'm trying to embody Pikachu as my main. I've totally given up on Jigglypuff. Like Jigglypuff can just go to hell. But I'm trying my best to be a Pikachu main, so I'm just gonna embrace it.
Pika B. You gotta hit that.
The Pikachu. Yeah.
Down B. Get that like Pikachu thunder move.
Well, you know when it doesn't hit, it's like the most embarrassing thing ever.
Yeah, because you're just like stagnant there for like 3 seconds. It's like, come on, Pikachu. The zipping. We gotta do an online Smash tournament. Everybody listen to the 20M podcast. We're bringing Smash Ultimate back. Challenge Reno and me to a fight live on the 20M podcast on a live stream on YouTube. Honestly, we should do that like live stream YouTube thing where it's like we just get people in chat to like rotate in. And get murdered by your Pikachu. But Reno, how are you?
I'm good. Actually, I really like your shirt.
Thank you. I posted this on Instagram the other day, but it's the Uniqlo Studio Ghibli collaboration, which I found out apparently isn't available in the US, which is weird. Like it's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like only available here in Southeast Asia.
Studio Ghibli's banned in the US.
Yeah, or maybe it's like, yeah, exactly. Southeast Asia and other parts, but it's this like My Neighbor Totoro kind of shirt, like oversized shirt, and I really like it. Because I like these cuts of shirts and I've got them from Uniqlo before, but the fact that it's Totoro is just awesome. And in Ghibli blue.
To add to your Tom Nook cosplay rotation.
I know, I hate that. I put, again, for those that haven't seen the Instagram. Yes, I genuinely do because like, I don't like that I look like Tom Nook. Like I posted this on Instagram. If y'all haven't followed me at Arif on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, but like I have like 2 to 3 shirts now where I take like a picture, like a mirror like picture, and I'm like, why do I look so funny? And I'm like, oh my flipping god, I look like Tom Nook. Like I'm about to like ask for a down payment for your house or something, or give you a loan for your upcoming house and ask for like 6 million bells. I genuinely look like Tom Nook. I don't know if it's the body shape, if it's like potentially baggies around my eyes.
I think it's the way the shirt hangs on you. It's like I'm here to party, but I'm also here for your money.
I had somebody. I'm gonna out my friend on Instagram really quickly because I have this lovely relationship with her. You know, very funny on Instagram. You know, we poke fun at each other. But I got this text message, and I was like, and she laughed at my Tom Nook thing, and she says, I think you just look like someone who'd give out an absurdly giant loan and almost immediately ask for it to be paid back. Like, what is that supposed to mean? I don't. Anyway, we're gonna move on.
That was great. That's another thing.
You want to stick on this topic?
No, that's another thing we should put on your tombstone, amongst many other comments from other people.
I love reference though. It fits really well.
Yeah. So back to AniManGaki. How was that? That was this weekend?
Yes, it was this past weekend. Again, this episode of the podcast I think is very cool, and because we're going to be talking a lot about like our experience as AniManGaki, at AniManGaki, and by our experience, I mean my experience as part of the 20M podcast. Because Rito's stuck in Japan and can't come to cool events here in Kuala Lumpur.
You went to AniManGaki. I live in AniManGaki.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm the wrong representative to send to these things. But AniManGaki is. one of the like anime cons for those that are like normies, you know what I mean? It's just a convention where you get a bunch of guests from all over the world, local guests as well, to either perform or do signings or do panels, whilst also servicing the rest of the like anime, manga, comic, game scene. And for me, it was just an awesome celebration to see because I was there last year. And obviously, you know, there's been an explosion of anime cons throughout Malaysia and also throughout the world as anime rises in popularity. But this is just an awesome one over here in Kuala Lumpur that they had at the Mines International Convention Center. And we were there as press. So I just wanted to share a couple stories of like this awesome, nice convention that wasn't terribly packed and smelled actually okay. Like, I just need to acknowledge that, right? It's like the amount of jokes that we have for conventions here in Southeast Asia is precarious because it's so hot and humid and people smell a lot. So
I'm just imagining the Google reviews for AniManGaki, and it's just like Arief Johan, and it's like wasn't incredibly packed. Okay. Smelled okay. Smelled 4 stars.
But Rino, before I get into my like AniManGaki spiel and share a little bit about it, what's your experience with anime cons as the resident 20M podcast anime consumer, anime like cosplayer? What's your experience with anime cons in general?
I've only been to one con in Malaysia, and I think it had one event and then never again. This was like in like 2000, what was it, like 2010, 2011. I had a great time because that was like my very first con. But then like I remember that the con also had like a forum, and I was part of the forum, and afterwards everyone was just like trashing it really badly. Oh. And I honestly, I'm not trying to like be subtle about the tea. I honestly just cannot remember the name of the con. But it's really nice, especially back then, I think, when anime is not as mainstream, like you mentioned, and to just go to a space where everyone recognizes you instantly as whatever character you're cosplaying, or you recognize them, or you can see that they're holding something of this anime you like. It's just very like subculture, right? So when you recognize each other for what you love, it's a really nice feeling. So I was you probably don't know this one. It's a really old anime. I'm like outing myself for like what generation I'm part of. I went as a character from Oran High School Host Club, which back then was like a really big like shoujo anime. And so we got there. I was there with my friend who was also from the same show. So it's really cool when you have like friends and you both come together from the same show. And then you get your whole paparazzi moment because everyone is just taking photos of you. I think also because this con was very small, so there were not that many cosplayers. So you're just like standing there, and then there's like maybe like 15 photographers all at once, and you're like. Phew. So that I mean, it feels nice. It's like the one time of the year where you're normally like unable to share this love with anyone, and you're normally like made fun of on the internet, but the one time that you kind of feel special. So I think cons have a special place in my heart for that reason.
No, that's awesome. And, you know, I sat down with the founder of AniManGaki, Yvonne, and we were chatting a little bit about this concept of like how mainstream anime conventions are now. And there's some really interesting tidbits in the conversation that we had that I can bring up throughout the show. But I think one of them is just like the realization that these spaces are in service for the community. And by that, it means like so much to people when one thing that's I think is like really interesting is like to have different people like that if you're into anime, there's so many ways for you to express that. So whether you're an artist, whether you're a cosplayer, whether you're somebody who like wants to consume that or wants to like photograph that and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of like the place where you can do that in person, because when you watch anime, it's such a, I don't know, you're just watching it via a screen, you know what I mean? Or at best case, you're watching with other people. But yeah, you're right. I just love these kind of cons because I have so many special stories about so many different types of cons, not just anime cons. But coming back to AniManGaki itself is like, yeah, this one was a really fun one this year. And we've got to say props to the folks at AniManGaki as well for inviting us. But, you know, for the most part, I just want to lay up this like AMG kind of segment by saying like, honestly, Rino, I just had ball of a time just walking around the con, taking pictures, seeing the amazing stuff that was on display, going to the artist alley, and just meeting a bunch of friends that, you know, speak about like going with friends. It's like sometimes I only meet friends like once every year at these kinds of things, like once or twice every year at these kinds of things. So it was just a beautiful experience. But where do you want to start with our AMG coverage? Or
I guess. Yeah, like maybe like a quick you're like what do you want to ask me? Like, exactly. I'm here. I guess like say I'm arriving. Say I was there yesterday. I'm arriving. Like what can I expect as soon as I walk through sort of the hallways? Like what's available at AniManGaki?
A sea of people in cosplay, just like waves and oceans of people. And it's like, it's such a nerdy thing, but I think that's like, I joke about it, but it is so beautiful, where the Mines International Convention Center, I think, is like the name of the place that they hold it. It's a little bit out of town, I think, for those, out of my part of town, for the record. I always think of it as like a place that's so far away, but it's one of those things where you walk into it just like much like any other anime con, and you can start to see it's connected to a mall. So when you're walking through the mall to the convention center, you can kind of see a couple people in cosplay. You're like, oh, that's Dong Heng, you know what I mean? And it's like, like that's like, yeah.
Can I guess?
Hit me.
Or
hit
like
me.
the top five most popular cosplays.
Hit me.
Right? Okay,
What were the what was this like? You're guessing the top 5 most popular cosplays at AniManGaki this year.
Not characters, but like from like franchises.
All right, hit me.
All right, okay. Genshin Impact.
100%. Like, come on, that was like the lowest hanging fruit. Like 90% of the con was Genshin Impact.
Genshin will just never not like dominate the cosplay scene. Obviously Star Rail. I mean, you kind of gave it away with the Dan Home.
Yes, there was quite a bit of Star Rail. I would say like not too many, but like as in like compared to Genshin, obviously. But yes, there were. I think Genshin and Star Rail were like 2 most represented cosplays, just in my surveying of the like thousands of people that were there.
Spy Family.
Ooh, Spy Family, interesting. I saw a couple Anya's, I think, are the
Only a couple, okay.
Yeah, only a couple.
Yeah,
and then I
Anya's
saw
really
one I don't know her name, the female lead.
Yes, Yor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's surprising. Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, quite a bit of Chainsaw Man. Like people, it's so funny when you're walking. You know how like cosplays are pretty bulky sometimes. It's so funny seeing people navigate a giant chainsaw on their head, because like you can totally tell their bodies are off weight a little bit.
Yeah,
Chainsaw Man was quite popular as well. Yes,
to everyone. Okay, so Chainsaw Man, maybe not Spy Family. My last one, I guess, would be. I want to say either Jujutsu Kaisen or Oshinoko.
I would say it's Oshinoko.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd say because like I'm not too familiar with Jujutsu Kaisen as well and the characters. There's a couple of JoJo, obviously, I think, but Oshinoko kind of like took over. I guess like I'm also saying it from an artist alley perspective. So there was a lot of Oshinoko, and like all the main cosplayers, I would say, like the ones that are there for the convention for meet and greets and are on stage as well, a lot of Oshinoko. Cool. But I guess it makes sense, right? These are like the most popular properties in anime. So by proxy, they would be represented in cosplay or art form.
I think it does. Like obviously with Genshin and with Star Rail and a little bit with Oshinoko, I think a lot of the designs are very cosplayable. So that's kind of like where I was headed. But with Chainsaw Man's very easy. Like it's basically everyone wears a suit and then you just get a wig. So it's like easy cosplay. So normally there are a lot of people who do that. And Spy Family, I guess they're not as popular this year, but last year...
Maybe they're off-season, yeah.
Off-season, they're taking a break.
I will say, like, I do love... I'll give a shout-out, and I wish I had these photos. I think you might be able to see them on IGN Southeast Asia at some point, because I was hanging out with Amanda and Calvin from IGN Southeast Asia the entire day, and they're obviously going to put up a little bit of coverage, but there were some really cool, like, gaming-oriented ones that I loved as well. I only saw, like, one Sora. From Kingdom Hearts, which was heartbreaking to me, and I couldn't get a picture because they were eating it. I don't want to bother Sora when he's eating. You know what I mean?
He's eating a papa fruit.
Yeah, papa fruit, just chomping on it. And then Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil. We saw an awesome Lady Dimitrescu, which was like super cool.
Was she tall?
She was tall.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say like super tall, but she was tall. She was tall, like taller than me, you know?
Okay.
Which is nice. And I just think a lot of like wacky cosplays, but like, I think for me, it's so cool to also see people put a lot of effort into it, because again, no hate to like people who do Genshin cosplays where it's like you order most of the outfits and then you maybe tailor a little bit here, but there were people that you could totally tell they like paper mache the hell out of their stuff. Like I saw Master Chief walking around and be like, that looks scrappy as hell and I love you. You know? So I just major love to the scene. But like, I guess like going back to this like entrance of AniManGaki, when you're walking in, there's a whole like line to the entrance, and it's so funny how that general entrance area is filled with photographers and light stands and everything, because most people like taking the photos, I guess, with a little bit of natural lighting and also in that hallway area. So it's so cool to see the celebration of cosplay and how widely popular it is, because there's some people with, again, a bit conventional outfits, but also some really, really original stuff, and the photographers that were just like setting up stuff and taking pictures of it. I was like, this is such a phenomenal, like, if you've never been to an anime con or a nerd oriented convention, you just get slapped in the face with this kind of stuff. It's like, you're going to get some culture shock, because this is flipping awesome and so wild, you know? But it was beautiful. So that's the entrance, and then you walk into a giant convention hall. Everything is all in one space. There's 2 floors. The top floor is where the cosplayers are, the ones like I said that are boothing there. But the bottom floor filled with a bunch of different sections. They have the guest meet and greets. You have the what do you call them, booths from I guess like the official partners that are there, and then you also have the artist alley as well as the main stage where you have like things that are going on. So overall, it was just like a compact, like a single space, but it was what a celebration it was.
It sounds awesome, especially like the entrance, the way you laid it out. I'm just like, is it like the Oscars but for cosplay?
Yeah, maybe it's like a super janky version of that, like kind of thing. But conceptually, I feel like you're kind of right. That's a very weird way to put it.
In terms of like the booths, what were some of like the highlights for you? The ones that you saw that were like, wow. Really
Let me tell you, Reno, I walk into AniManGaki, open the door, we're shimmying through the crowd a little bit, and I lock eyes with a certain Asuka Langley and immediately walk over to the ROG booth. And oh my God, dude, because they're promoting the Eva Unit 2 ROG, like, a collection, I would say, because it comes with a giant PC. You have all the internal PC specs, as well as like a mouse pad, the keyboard, the mouse, and like all the peripherals around it. And everything is like Eva Unit 2 oriented. And they have like a cardboard cutout with Asuka. And immediately I'm like disheveled because it's in the morning still. I like have my coffee because I'm like, I haven't properly woken up and I'm not ready for the con. And I'm like, Calvin, take a photo of me. Take a photo of me with Asuka. I just have my coffee, and I'm like, I don't want to put my arm around. It's a cardboard cutout of Asuka, for the record. Like, it's not a person cosplaying.
My visual image keeps like oscillating between the cardboard cutout and like a real person.
Yeah, it's a cardboard cutout. Just for the record, it's a cardboard cutout. Yeah. And I was like, I can't put my arm around a cardboard cutout. That's weird. You know what I mean? So I'm just like That's slowly weird. Inching.
It's like next to it.
I'm inching towards. I think I have a coffee in hand or something, or maybe I don't know. But that was just like, I just look so disheveled. Like, I got to take a picture with Asuka. Like, I love Evangelion. So it cemented my love for anime, because for those that don't know the 20M podcast, like my love for anime stemmed obviously from older stuff, like not older stuff, but like earlier stuff in my life, like Cardcaptor and things like that. But I really fell in love with the medium with Evangelion. So yeah, it was awesome. I do want to see the collection. The collection looks absolutely sick, and it's such a cool thing to have like game representation there, and like the crossover games and anime is, case in point of why we're doing this right now, right? It's like quite a normal crossover, but oh my God, this set looked absolutely phenomenal. And like you even had the Eva Unit 2 lights in the PC, so you could see Eva Unit 2 and Asuka and like the RGB like internal fans of the PC or whatever. It was like the most sick thing ever. So I need about $20,000 from our company budget so that we can purchase this PC.
The crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We'll get finance to sign off on it.
Yeah, thanks. I'm finance. Yeah, so that was a pretty notable one. I think another one is, related to the games. There was a huge representation from that game company promoting Sky, which is, I don't know if it's their third game per se, but they're the developers behind Journey. I think is their most notable piece of work. And obviously, Journey, I can't remember if it won Game of the Year, but it was like one of the renaissance of the indie movement in mainstream games is, I guess part of it is owed to Journey, right? And so I think it's a company that I've respected for a really long time, but they had Sky represented at this con, and they had a beautiful booth with like the little Sky statue as well that you could take pictures with.
That's awesome.
But it was just like one of those things where everybody could play the game on the mobile devices that they had throughout. But it was just so awesome to see, like, I guess like a little bit of how would you say, like a sleeper hit game have representation like that, because obviously you have Genshin that's there, and obviously you have like super hyper popular games, but to see Sky in the entrance of AniManGaki is a cool representation for me, where it's like it kind of represents this notion of like collectivist community building, because Sky, the whole, I don't know if anybody has played Sky at the end of the day, because again, like I said, it is a bit more of a sleeper hit, but it's really just like that communal aspect that Journey revolutionized, where you're interacting with people in the world and you're just flying around places, you're doing a couple mini games and you're leveling up your character to level up your gear, but you're also experiencing things together on an online forum. So it kind of is representative of like the whole AMG type of crowd.
This is like your thesis, your master thesis, where you're like, why sky representation is important to foster community.
Like college,
AniManGaki.
college essay. Yeah. No, but like, jokes aside, like I genuinely, you know what I mean? Like it is almost like purposeful for me, where it is a beautiful representation, and it's not just like, oh, the sky booth is up in front. It's like, oh, it's actually like quite representative of the whole community when it comes to like supporting the arts and, you know, experiencing things with other people. So awesome to see Sky have like a huge presence there.
No, that's awesome. That sounds really, really cool.
Yeah.
Did you by any chance catch any like big name cosplayers while you were there?
So we obviously there was a couple long lines of major cosplayers. I'm also not too entwined with the scene, but one of the guests that they had at this year's AniManGaki was Hakken. And Hakken is a Malaysian cosplayer, and they are like out of this world, right? Like popular, so much so, like Rino, like you obviously know Hakken.
I think everyone knows Hakken at this point. I don't know why they're not like ambassador for like Tourism Malaysia at this point. Like they're at that level of like. Yeah.
But you know, they're like Japanese cultural ambassador. Like,
I did see that. I did see that.
Yeah. So screw their home country. It's like, we're promoting Japanese tourism. Yeah. Like Hakken is like one of the biggest cosplayer like names in the region, let alone like in the scene, right? But it's so funny how, again, props to the AniManGaki team, but Hakken's meet and greet section was a whole flipping hall to the left side of the convention. Like it wasn't even in the main like convention section. Like their popularity is astronomical to the point where they carved out an entire section so that they could snake the line around. And I was talking to Calvin about this as well. He said the day before, you know, when normal cosplayers usually have one line or two lines and you're lining up for it, Hakken is like a row of 6 people all in a line. And I don't know how they manage the like logistics of that, but man, props to like I kind of want to get Hakken on the show for like an interview or whatever, because I just want to know what that experience is like psychologically. Like. You know what I mean? Like, how do you deal with a whole anime con with like 6 people in like 6 simultaneous lines that you have to tend to? But I did not see Hakken. Like, there's no way. Like Secret Service security were probably like around the booth. Like, it's like, who are you? Like, don't answer, please.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's one of them.
But it's like one of those things, you know how you're meant to have like Malaysia Boleh, like pride in Malaysia. Like when you see like a Proton car, when you see the Twin Towers, like I feel that when I see like how popular Hakken is on Instagram. I'm like, I'm so proud as a Malaysian.
Yeah, it's really cool. You should really check out, like, for those that are listening to the 20M podcast, like, I guess like might be a little bit more of an international audience or aren't as clued into the like cosplay scene. Like Hakken stuff is phenomenal, and they like. Yeah, I don't know. It's just jawline, in my opinion. It's pure jawline. Yeah. And
yeah, I think when you get to that point with your cosplay, it's like it's an art form. It's a form of expression. It's really, really beautiful. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess like the last major booth that I wanted to share was, I don't know if you know this, but I love a little movie called Suzume.
I wonder. Yeah, I had no idea. No idea.
Yeah, no idea.
absolutely no idea.
I think most people know. So Comics Wave was an official partner, like one of the guests that they had over at AniManGaki, and they brought over some of the artists, if I'm not mistaken, and they obviously had a huge booth there. And they're the animation studio behind, I guess the most popular one is Your Name. Like there's like skyrocket levels of like popularity because of that anime film, and it's beautiful, it's awesome. But then Suzume just came out, I think in Malaysian cinemas earlier this year. Yeah, and international earlier this year as well. And like that's been it's also kind of like built up their popularity, I think, from a mainstream level too. But they had a booth there, and let me tell you right now, I had the best time at their flipping booth, and like I almost cried at their booth.
You wanna tell the full story? Like, why did you cry at the booth?
Well, the first thing is that like I think it's a joke that a lot of people make fun of me for liking the movie in our circle of friends, because I had a phenomenal tweet out there that we don't
need to reference that.
That basically said that I forgot the tweet actually. I'll find.
Yeah, we'll put it up here maybe if we don't get canceled again for this tweet.
Yeah, no, but I love it. I genuinely love that animation studio because like Your Name is beautiful, but Suzume, like I understand it's not as good as Your Name, but it just has such a special place in my heart. And then I was also at the Rad Wimstro, who does like the music for those films as well, and I cried my eyes out to the Suzume like section. But when I was walking past the first time, I was like, oh, like it's pretty empty booth. There's not a lot of people here, and like I saw the cat, one of the cats from the movie, and I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. And I took a picture of the cat, and then I looked at the t-shirts, and they were sold. The one that I wanted was sold out, but there was not much happening at the booth, so I walked away. And then I came back later, and then I saw that they have the little cat from Suzume, like one of the main cats, like the one you see more in the movie, and the chair from Suzume. And I'm like, you can see, like, I like drop all my stuff. I'm like, Calvin, Amanda, like, take a picture of me. Take a picture of me.
Me in the chair.
And I run over to the stuff, and I'm like leaning over with the cat because there's a little sign that says touch gently, which is really cute, you know? And I'm like trying to get closer to the cat, and I'm trying to take a picture with it because I love this flipping movie. And then the staff sees me so flipping happy and like inching closer, and the guy is like, hey, you can pick him up. And
You
I'm
can
like,
pick up the cat.
and I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, go ahead, man. And I'm
Can we
like,
just
okay.
clarify that this is not a real cat?
It's not a real cat, obviously. It's a plush. Come on. And then
Just
I pick
the
up.
fact that he's like, you can pick him up, like the toy cat. Yes,
Yeah, but you can pick him up.
Like,
Yeah, he's okay with it. Yeah. As I pick up the cat, and I take this awesome photo. I was so happy, and I pick up the cat, and then I just move through the next section. And I pick up the little cat, and I take a little photo of it. And then I get to the chair, and I'm like kind of hesitant about it because it's a full on. They replicated the chair from the movie, and it's like I'm kind of inching, and he's like, hey, like the staff is like, hey, why don't you pick it up, take a picture with it, and then I'm like, okay, I will, and it gave me final approval, additional approval to pick up the chair. So it was really nice.
Pick it up.
And so I picked it up, and I tried to recreate the poster of Suzume, and it's like the poster is behind me, and I'm trying to recreate the photo. I'll put it up somewhere here, right? And then he sees me as well, like the staff kind of sees me like trying to struggle to get the angle. He's like, hey, there's a cardboard cutout of the door, like right there. Why don't you take the chair, recreate the photo in front of the major door? I'm like, yes, dude. And the entire staff was like, they saw how flipping happy I was. So they were all kind of like laughing. And I go, and then there's like a couple of people waiting at the cardboard cutouts. So I'm just holding the stupid chair, waiting for my photo opportunity. Like I just have the chair in my hand.
They look like you just robbed them of their property.
Exactly. And then there's like, oh no, you go ahead. Like I'll wait.
I'll wait with my friend.
Yeah. And then we finally get the photo of the chair, and I told Calvin to take a really nice photo. I was like, I'm going to make this my profile picture, so take it on your nice camera, please. And then I got it, and they quickly took the chair back from me, like as if I was holding it hostage. But I think it's because they didn't want other people to like just manhandle the chair, but because I'm special, I really like the movie. Anyway, love Comics Wave stuff. Awesome to see them part of this Malaysian convention, but genuinely, I had the time of my life because this Suzume thing is just such a funny journey over the course of the 20th podcast. But really cool to have that, like to have these experience at anime cons where you can go to the panels and you can go like buy merch and stuff, but you can also just like take pictures, because I feel like that's most the point of I guess social media these days as well, right? But like to me, it was to have this Japanese company come by and bring actual like props and material and stuff like that, and to have you experience that and kind of like mess around with that kind of stuff all the way from Japan is such a cool thing, as opposed to like when people do like fan art or like when you take a picture with a cosplayer, it's like a different level. Like this is like official stuff. So I just loved that Comics Wave experience.
I mean, you need to send that photo and your recap to Comics Wave in Japan, so that like the marketing team feels validated. Like this is why
they bring it,
because we wanted to make a grown man cry and like hold on to our chair and like stand in line and take a photo. It was like 100%. They were like, yes, validated.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it so much. That was awesome. And again, it goes back to AnimeCon. It's anime, right? So not games related, but like, oh my god, I loved it so much.
Yeah. And then I want to know more about the Artist Alley. Like I always love seeing people, sell their merch, whether it's like fan art or original art. But like, what did you catch while you were there?
Yeah, and this is my favorite part of anime conventions. Every single time I go 90% because of the Artist Alley, and I put a cap on the cash I'm going to spend, but it never works out in my favor. Yeah, the Artist Alley was awesome. There was like, I can't remember the exact number of artists, but it was a huge Artist Alley. There was like A through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I think, like rows. So, or maybe I could be wrong. But either way, there was a lot of like artists that were there. I would say like some notable ones was that you obviously have so much Genshin art. And it's a joke at this point, but like, I was chatting with some folks where if you're an artist and you don't do Genshin art, it's almost like you're shooting yourself in the foot, because so many people want to consume that kind of stuff. So I don't blame them for being Genshin art, but as per usual, so much Genshin art at the Artist Alley. But you know what I have to say about where Genshin art is right now, or like the level of okayness of Genshin art, is obviously you have like kind of like lewd, like female kind of like art. But the thirsty like guy like anime Genshin thirst traps were like, holy crap, man! There's like 4 straight up booths where like I've never seen. Give me a name of a dude in Genshin right now.
Toma.
No, nobody did Toma art. I'm sorry. Nobody did Toma art. I'm sorry to break it to you. There was no Lu Toma art.
Was there like Lu, like Zhongli or Lu Diluc?
Honestly,
Lu Child.
Yeah, exactly. Like so much chest. Just like
you know what's in now? It's not just the chest, but like the I don't know what they call it, like the slut waist on like
yeah.
men.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, no, but other than the more like questionable kind of content, it's like, yeah, a lot of Genshin art, but also just like really cool, just really cool booths all around. I bumped into a lot of friends that were there, like friends that I've seen at previous conventions, and they're super nice. And obviously it's like such a nice thing to share stickers with each other. It's like, hey, just have a sticker or like have a little keychain thing. And it's beautiful and it's awesome. And I'm really thankful for that. But I guess like one of the major purchases that I saw is like, I went into the artist alley and I told Calvin and Amanda, I'm like, I want to walk out of this place with a tote bag. That's goal number one. I literally said it as I got in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the Arief bingo.
Instantly, we go to the artist alley, and Amanda's like, "Oh, I really want this bag," and I'm like, "Oh, like which bag are you talking about?" And she shows me the bag, and I'm like, "I need that bag. I need that bag right now." And she's like, and I'm like, but it's kind of like it's not pricey, but I'm like, should I come back for it later? And she's like, "No, they sell out really quick. You should get it." And I'm like, "Okay, I gotta get it. I gotta get it."
Oh my gosh, you just enabled you. All right, let's see the bag. Let's see the bag. Did it,
but like it's from this awesome artist that does these. I don't know if you can see well on camera, but it's an Animal Crossing tote bag. It's like
that's
the little
super
like
cute
barrister.
Oh, I like how the straps are green. It's like
yes.
it's not just your typical tote bag. It's got a lot of flair to it.
It's
like
wide. It's a wide tote bag too, and it has different straps, so you can hold it as a tote bag or also hold it as like kind of like a briefcase kind of a scenario. And it's just like there's a little pocket in the front. It's got a magnetic thing. It's just such a high quality tote bag. From Malo Bear Studio, and it's just so. I'm gonna wear this to work, and I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna love my life.
I bet I don't know. I can just see you like Sunday grocery shopping in like Bangsa or something with your tote bag.
A little Animal Crossing.
That's super cute.
Just talking to the grocery, having a really good time. So I love the artist alley. I think I saw a shout out to Sophie, who is part of the Malaysian game dev community. We have a 20M podcast dedicated to Sophie, talking about development of Gigabash, one of the independent games here coming out of Southeast Asia, but also a little bit about her journey through the future class of video games, which is really cool. But yeah, I bumped into Sophie there. She had this like slanderous tweet about me, how she could hear me from the other side of the hall as I was greeting other people. But Sophie also has some art that is like super awesome. So like some keychains that Sophie designed.
Oh, was she boothing as well?
Yeah, she was sharing a booth with a friend.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah,
that has such like Sophie energy.
Yeah, Anki energy. It's just really funny. And then also just like outside of the like general stuff, I also want to give some love to the artists that aren't doing conventional things. So shout out, I can't find this person's name right now, but I'll obviously tag them later. But there was somebody doing like D&D, like, well, witch content and D&D content were like, there was a couple places that were doing that, but whenever you see them, it's flipping awesome and scary. And it's, I guess like the more witch stuff is like a little bit with candles or like lit and you have like seance materials or whatever. It's like, that's awesome. Major props to you. That's flipping cool. And then the D&D stuff, it's like to find that side of this nerd kind of like ecosystem represented as well, other than just like anime art is just so fun to see. And then I guess my last shout out on the like art side of things is like I bumped into my friend Nat, who does emo trash, which is like she does art for like emo bands or like of emo bands and stuff like that. And usually she's always at like other cons, but also like concerts and things like that. I think some of her stickers and her art has actually been passed on to the bands that she makes these art for.
That's awesome.
So, but like the coolest thing that I got was like the Scott Pilgrim collection of stickers that she made.
Oh, very cool.
Again, just good. Like obviously, if you're a nerd and you're in anime and you're in comics or whatever, you end up gravitating to properties like this. So, just love the Artist Alley. The last thing I'll say is that hopefully this should be coming out in IGN Southeast Asia as well. But we did a nice little collab video that might be coming out soon, where we unboxed our haul. So you can see the full haul on that video sometime soon. We'll share it on our socials. But it was just such a fun, nice little collaboration with the folks at IGN Southeast Asia.
That's so sweet. I love hearing about Artist Alley hauls. That's so much fun. And like you were saying as well, like when you find that like one little booth that shares that really, really small niche thing that you like that you didn't expect to see there, you just like freak out. You're like, oh my God, you like that too? And then you just kind of vibe with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, there was like the other one is like there was, I don't know if you saw that Cuphead Digimon like thing on Twitter.
No, what?
There was like, I just saw it like on Twitter on Friday.
Cuphead and Digimon?
It was like a Cuphead, like, you know, the style of Cuphead, that like 50s cartoon Mickey Mouse, like OG Mickey Mousey kind of thing. I saw it on Twitter. I was scrolling past and I was just like,
And it was Digimon.
oh, that's really cool. I liked it. Yeah, but it was all Digimon characters. And then the first, like second booths I saw, like one of the first few booths I saw the print, and it's this print. And
oh my god, that's awesome!
Yeah, it's genuinely awesome.
It.
And this is from Leon Reart. But I saw it and I'm like, dude, is this yours? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I saw this on Twitter like a day ago or something like that, and I didn't think anything about it. I didn't know if it was AniManGaki related. I didn't know you were a Malaysian artist or whatever. It was just on because obviously there's Digimon stuff that percolates my timeline every once in a while. Yeah, and I was just like, what a coincidental thing. So
that's crazy. Yeah, just super awesome.
Cool. Love artist Holly.
Love artists. So I guess yes. Like overall, you've been to AniManGaki now. You sounds like you had a great time, but you've also been to like other cons. Like, what do you think about AniManGaki made it sort of stand out in like that you had such a positive experience?
Yeah, and I think I'll mention here that like again, this kind of is a perfectly up to some of the conversation that I had with Yvonne, the founder of AniManGaki and one of the directors there. But AniManGaki is different from like, you know, the biggest convention in Malaysia is probably Comic Fiesta, and they've always been like the largest, and they are objectively like numbers wise the largest. AniManGaki is, I would say, like in that just under them, that tier below them. But the reason why I say that is because they might not be the biggest, and they might not have like obscene crowds that you can attract for anime conventions, but it's a healthy way to have like a really good amount of people with a really good amount of options, whilst also building that intimacy. Because I feel like if you're at a much larger convention, whether it be, you know, the other conventions that you have around the region as well, sometimes it might be too crowded, it might be too transactional, it might be too corporate. It's just like that kind of energy. But AniManGaki to me has always been one of those ones where it's like you still feel a lot of that intimacy. You can tell people really care about the art, the cosplayers, the flow of the design, and all that kind of stuff. So the reason why I love it is that, like, again, it feels so grassroots connected to the folks that are contributing to like the AMG scene, or I guess like the anime scene overall in Malaysia, whilst also having amazing international like people. So I just want to mention as well, like I wasn't able to catch the folks that were out here, but they did invite a couple international guests, like Yusuke Kozaki, who is an artist on No More Heroes, Fire Emblem, and Pokemon and stuff like that. So they were doing panels and signing. You also had Keisuke Ito, who did the music for, if I'm not mistaken, Naruto and some other anime as well. And Comics Wave, obviously, and a bunch of other folks that were here, right? So the fact that you can marry international presence that is representative of like anime and stuff like that with the local scene is, to me, what makes AniManGaki so special. Because you, at the end of the day, it still feels like it's not absurdly difficult to walk around or get into or experience the things that you need to experience. So I just think major props to the AMG team for building that kind of energy whilst having it feel like it's run super smoothly as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And especially like, as we talked about anime becoming more mainstream, and then just kind of like growing pains of like, you want to make it bigger, because if it's bigger and more commercially successful, then you can have more, you know, the con has more resources to do, you know, things that they want to do. But at the same time, when it becomes too commercial, then you're not looking after the community. And then it just becomes this like shit fest of like queuing up and then like being really disappointed. And I've personally never been to, say, like, you know, like AX in the US, or I know maybe close to home, like Conquest, but like obviously a lot of people are very vocal about these negative experiences, and also even people just accepting like, okay, I'm going to go and it's going to be a terrible time, but I need to go because I like anime. So it's really great to hear that there are still like conventions that are, you know, growing, but growing in a sustainable way, I suppose, that so the community can grow alongside with them, and, you know, making sure that community first is like sort of like their flagpole.
That's awesome. And again, like the conversation that I was having with Yvonne is like, I was wondering the reasons why there was an explosion in anime cons. I don't know if you're listening to the 20M podcast, drop a comment and tell us like how many anime cons there are around you. And where you are in the world, because I genuinely want to know, because over here in Malaysia, we've seen a genuine explosion in the amount of anime cons. Like it seems like there's one every weekend, obviously varying in size and scope and activities available and whatnot. But when I was chatting with Yvonne, she mentioned something that I thought was really interesting, which was one of the two things that she brought up that was a catalyst to like the popularity of anime mainstream and like these cons, where, you know, we used to be like people who liked anime and these kind of nerd stuff used to be shunned on in school way back in the day, but now it's kind of like super popular mainstream. but I think she said that Genshin is one of them, where the popularity of Genshin is one of those things that built up, the popularity of cons and cosplaying and things like that. And then the second thing is Netflix. Like the fact that and it's so easily accessible to watch anime, and there's so many like Netflix finance projects and people during the pandemic, so most of their consumption would be like via Netflix or whatever have you. It really increased the amount of mainstream. So I thought it was just really cool how she mentioned as well, where like the kids of her friends way back in the day or something like that, who their friends were never like super into anime, but their kids now want to go to like AniManGaki. I think it's such a funny, cool like story. And then to your note on the community, and if we can, we'll probably splice in or have the interview segment at some point, right, available for the 20M podcast. But she also said that like there are people that were volunteers at an AniManGaki like 7 years ago, and then they've grown up, they probably graduated from college, and then now they're a content creator, and then they're doing cosplay, and then now they're cosplaying formally at the convention. So the pipeline of like that community, I think, is such a thing to celebrate, and that's what to me what is representative with AniManGaki, where you can really feel the human texture and the fabric of the like anime like convention scene represented at this conference.
That's so awesome. That's awesome. But like, yeah, really, really good points. I think Genshin, I guess like we talked about, the like sort of like the nexus of like anime and gaming. Genshin is one of those games that successfully combine video games with anime, right? For very obvious reasons. And then, yeah, Netflix as well. Netflix has a lot of good titles, whether they've licensed it or whether they've made original stuff. Not everything has been great, but definitely accessibility, because, way back in the day, it was all just like LimeWire or like torrented. Like you don't know what you're getting sometimes. Or I think I was talking with Joanna on Instagram the other day, and we were talking about how animes we uploaded onto YouTube, and it would be like
oh my god,
parts. Like because like YouTube could only have like 15-minute videos back then, right? So you have like Naruto part 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and you're like, and you're just like sitting there like, bro, and then eventually you're just like, all right, I'll just watch part 4 in Spanish, like it's fine. Like,
oh my god, yes,
we've come such a long way from that, which is awesome. Great for the new generation of weebs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know it's super funny to reflect on that. It's like to see how the community has grown and the status of like anime has grown as well. It's only going to grow. So that the fact that Uniqlo is obviously a Japanese brand, and like it makes sense. But Levi's has a collaboration with Princess Mononoke right now and all that kind of stuff. So like the mainstream anime is here. It's again curious because Yvonne mentioned that she's curious how long it'll stay popular and mainstream, which I think is a very interesting question. But beyond that, look, had a phenomenal time. It was cool to see a combination of huge, notable booths and international folks come down for this, but also connect with like just local artists who are, making amazing stuff, or local cosplayers who are doing amazing stuff. And to have that celebrated in one space was awesome. So major props to the AniManGaki team for bringing us over there, and hopefully we get to go back next year, and we'll see what kind of guests show up and what else we can cover. But it was such a fun weekend experience. That's a little bit different than the usual 20M shenanigans.
Hey everyone, Arief here from the editing room. As we close up our segment on AniManGaki, we just wanted to share some moments from our interview with Yvonne Sing, founder of AniManGaki. Enjoy this short segment of the podcast.
So AniManGaki is basically an annual animation, comics and games convention held in Malaysia. We consider it a community-based event. So basically we work with a lot of communities and a lot of different brands as well to build the event every year. Honestly, for me, I always say if we can survive the year without major hiccups, we're good. And then that for me alone is a highlight, right? And that means every year, as long as the event ends well, it's good. Yeah. But I do hear a lot of people's story, especially when they come to us and they thank us for creating AniManGaki or even organizing it. And then they would tell us like, hey, I when I was young, AniManGaki was my first ACG event. And right now, this human being is already, a content creator, an influencer herself. And I just thought, I think that was a very surreal experience for me too. Of course, I thought that I do feel old. The age part is that I'm able to rise up and be like, okay, I feel that one. I feel that hate over there. But at the same time, I am very happy and proud. At least I feel that AniManGaki, or rather a seed that I planted, is now something meaningful to people. And they can use it to be a platform for them to then do whatever they want to do.
I just want to maybe get your thoughts about like the current state of anime cons here in Malaysia. Are there too many? Are there too few? Are there, a couple that are notable, or what is the ecosystem really like right now? Where are we at?
Oh, yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned it and you brought up the word mainstream, right? That honestly feels what it is right now. Ever since, especially after the post-pandemic point, I think exploded really hard. I think the advent of I think Netflix, right? Because with pandemic, a lot of people are at home, they're consuming this, and we're talking about mainstream crowd, right? I mean, normies, right? We call it normies, non-anime fans, right? With Netflix, because Netflix catered to a lot of the normie crowd, but at the same time, they do carry anime titles, and I think that exposure alone, when they are consuming those, also they think they get translated to be fans, right? They call fans, and then they start. Yeah, I think they start turning those anime stuff to mainstream too, which is cool for us. Like we were like, yeah, what should I say? Back then it was not as cool, but now it's cool, right? So for us, it's a very surreal feeling too. Like, it's very fascinating. Pre-pandemic, definitely we were still a bit of a weirdo. Like, I don't think I would be very open to even tell people that this is my thing, So it's not to say because sometimes it carries a lot of negative. I think negative. Yeah, I'm like to it. There was a lot of focus on like how nerds are like kind of not contributing to society, or maybe they're weird, or like I don't know. Oh, a lot of mental health issues. Yeah, I think that's part of the whole stigma on it, right? But now it is cool. I've friends who would come to me and say like, hey, my 8-year-old daughter would like to buy cosplay costume. Where can I find one? Whoa, I said this, back in the days, we never heard of such things. Which to me, I think, yeah, it's like our good year. I mean, like, good, yeah, it's a very good time for us nerds, geeks, yeah.
And all those kids who bullied us in school growing up, it's like, look who's laughing now.
Correct. And then if you ask my opinion on cons in general, definitely, in my opinion, it is a lot, right, compared to back then. The difference being that I feel events back then were really organized by communities themselves. So people who are genuinely passionate about the ACG scene, ACG being animation, comics, and games scene, they would create they would organize the events. But it feels like post-pandemic, there is a mixture of those who are passionate and also commercial parties which are jumping on the bandwagon. Good and bad, I guess. Personally, I feel a little bit of competition don't hurt. But I think it's been pretty interesting. The scene is evolving in a very interesting manner, and I think it's still pretty dynamic so far. So I can't tell for sure where it's gonna go. But mainstream is the word right now, yeah. And I don't know how long this is gonna stay mainstream too. We don't know.
And that was our interview with Yvonne Sing. Now, back to the rest of the 20M podcast.
I need to go to my first Japanese con. I haven't made it yet.
Oh, yeah?
Because I mean, like, most of my time has been like in Japan has been like pandemic, so that kind of makes sense. But like, there's Comic-Con twice a year, which is like the big one. So the one that just passed was like the summer Comic-Con, which everyone tells me like to avoid like the plague for all the reasons you mentioned before, which is like a lot of people and people not smelling that good in summer. So I might try and make it for the winter one this year, and if it does, I'll definitely talk about it on the show.
Yeah, we should definitely do it. I think it'd be awesome. Because again, like I bet the people who are like cramming through Armored Core right now, it's like we flipping love mech anime. You know what I mean? Like, give me that Witch from Mercury stuff.
Absolutely. Do you have any takes about anime this year so far that I should be aware of?
I saw some Trigun cosplay, and it reminded me that I have yet to watch Stampede.
Oh,
so
Stampede,
I watched the first couple episodes of Stampede. So did you want to finish that? I know you are familiar with that property and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have too many anime takes. I saw somebody, a film friend of mine on Twitter, like he just loves film, and he got into Evangelion for the first time. And I was like, oh yes.
Oh no.
I can't wait for you to have crippling depression in a week. You know, I can't wait to talk to you about it and have you break down and have an existential crisis. So no, my anime takes are pretty normal. What about you? What you obviously consume a lot more than me.
I don't think I've watched as much as I normally would as well. So like Oshinoko was like a main one. I did review a couple of really bad anime on Netflix this year. It's like the Yakitori Soldiers of Misfortune. That was a terrible anime. And then Junji Ito, I think they're redoing a new Junji Ito, which is going to be much better. The one I watched was terrible as well.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Absolutely awful. But I'm looking forward to more Attack. I kind of like Attack on Titan, but my problem is I finished the manga. So I'm more of a manga reader than anime. So whenever I finish the manga, when I watch the anime, I'm like, can they hurry up? Like get to the part where I know I know it's going to be good. So that's kind of an annoying thing for me. But the anime that like I kind of go back and think about a lot is one I watched last year, and it's called Ya Boy Kongming. The Japanese name is like Paripi Kome. I don't know if I've talked to you about this. This might have been like pre-meeting you.
Yeah.
But it's like okay, so the scene is like Roppongi on a Friday night, you know, club, music thumping, young kids are everywhere. And then this guy gets isekai. Do you know what isekai means?
Yes.
Yeah, this guy. So Zhuge Liang, who is like the skilled tactician from the warring states in China back in like ages ago, right?
Yeah.
He dies on the battlefield and is like, I'm full of regret. I didn't live my life. He gets isekai to Roppongi like 2022 or something. And he becomes like the manager of a girl who really wants to be big as a musician.
This is awesome.
So the name in Japanese is Paripi Kome. Paripi is like Japanese English for like party people. And Kome is like his it's like his other name. He's like, back in the day, like Chinese people had like two names, right? So the name everyone knows him as is Zhuge Liang, but in this thing they've called him Kome. And the reason why I keep thinking about this is because as you know, I went to Summer Sonic recently, and the anime, the pinnacle is like Aiko, the girl, like her goal is to perform at Summer Sonia, is what the anime calls it. So while I was at Summer Sonic, I was like, man, where's Aiko?
Where is it? They pop up on stage to be the coolest thing ever, you know?
Yeah, I just think like weird premises like this like can only be an anime. Like I would not watch a movie about this. I would not read a book about this. But like an anime, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's really fun. I love, again, just the wackiness of anime is always the thing that gets me. So I just love what a cool flippin' pitch, you know. Are we now One Piece people? I know like the One Piece anime. The Netflix thing is like building up its like marketing cycle.
Yes, they are. I think the last thing I saw recently was they visited Oda Sensei's like studio, like where he draws, and then they brought the actor for Luffy. Yeah, you've seen that as well. And I like that it's really meaningful, and the way they set up is like, you know, really sweet. But it's also just like they need the community to get behind this, right?
Yeah,
so it's
totally.
Like Oda Sensei
it's a diplomatic like envoy. It's a diplomatic move, pretty much. You know, it's like you're signing a national, I don't know, like a co-agreement or something.
Yeah, and I think the screenshots I've seen, I don't know if it's deliberate or not, or if it's from the official account, but it's like, oh, Oda Sensei saying like, you are exactly what I imagine Luffy will be. Well, if he says so, we have no choice but to agree, right?
I think my favorite one, and again, please don't come after me, One Piece community. Please do not come after me. I have done no wrong to One Piece fans, except saying that I don't really want to watch it because I think it's way too long and a little bit like overhyped. But the thing that I saw was that why did the actor get the part or something? And it's because he made Oda laugh. And I was like, that's the formal statement. It's like he just chuckled during the like audition, and then like, bam, okay, they like him. It's like,
I feel like it's like, isn't that like some kind of fairy tale? You know, when like the king is like some grumpy dude, and then like the minstrel like makes him laugh and suddenly gets like appointed. Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like, there's nothing really too deep around it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for One Piece fans because like that was it's been part of the conversation, I guess, as of late. But again, talk about popularity. Are you flipping kidding me? Like, that property is taking over the world. Has always taken over the world.
I'm curious about the card game now. I might try and dabble into it, actually.
You mean we need to hit up our friend Ashraf Chaz to tell us about the One Piece card game and get us into this cardboard crack that he is so fondly making content of on YouTube?
I think I saw him tweet the other day, and it was like, something like apologies for all the uploads, but I need to get everything out, and it's just like 9 videos got uploaded at once onto YouTube.
Oh my god,
Like,
yeah.
my dude.
Hey, if you guys are into the One Piece, like if you guys are into One Piece and listen to the podcast, and if you haven't seen, I guess like our episode 3, you know what I mean? But like we had a funny bit where we asked some of our content creator friends about what their favorite anime is. And obviously Ashraf Chaz, who's a Singaporean based content creator, he's an amazing YouTuber. I think his YouTube has skyrocketed over the past couple of years. He's always been into cards. Like we used to talk about Magic, we used to talk about Pokemon, but then when One Piece came out, he started covering the One Piece card game.
Everything
and now
loves
he's
in
like,
one thing. Right?
dude, I was yeah, exactly. It's just cards and One Piece. It's so him. But I was at a card shop. I think I've told this story in the podcast, but I was at a card shop when I was in Singapore, and somebody like he was like a flipping celebrity. You know, people would be like, "Oh yeah, dude, I saw the new video," and like, I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, it's
so
awesome.
cool.
It's so awesome for him. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out his YouTube channel if you're into One Piece or into the One Piece card game.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
But yeah, before we wrap things up, Arief, was there anything else you wanted to share about AniManGaki in your experience?
No, I just think like for us, the 20M podcast, like I just want everybody like let us know what you think, because if you want us to cover more of these like in-person stuff, I think like we can try to explore different types of content that we can do. I don't know if like we'll obviously do some stuff on Shorts and you know, our Instagram and whatnot. We're gonna be putting some stuff out there, but like I also want to know from the community like how much of you guys watch anime, like consume anime, but also like want us to cover these kinds of events, because for the most part traditionally we're gaming oriented, and the reason why we thought this was synergistic was because there was representation of Sky, you know, like I said, the artists that did Pokemon and No More Heroes and things like that, and obviously the presence of like Genshin and ROG and all these kinds of things, like I just want to like let the community kind of like also tell us like if you want more of these, because we can totally cover more anime events and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just think it's like an interesting one to talk about here on the 20M podcast, because the intersection is so clear to us, but I don't know if it is clear for like the audience as well. So let us know in the comments, like, do you want to see more of these things? Like what part of the conversation kind of excited you as well? And then maybe we can integrate some community aspects a little bit more, like letting us know where to go, what to like consume, or whatnot. I don't know. I just feel like I want to put that out there.
Yeah. 100 likes on this video and Arief will take back his terrible take on
Suzume. I feel like, you know what would be really fun? If we should do the next con that we do, it's like we put up a little like, Ludwig's, I have $1,000 on this credit card and the chat spends it for me. We should live stream Artist Alley booths at like at a comic, like at an anime convention or something, and let the community tell us what to buy and stuff like that. So we just end up with like a community hall or something, and then we like try to give it away to community.
It's gonna be full of slutty loot. Genshin.
Oh yeah, it's like to open the bag and it's all just like abs and chest and like summer photo shoots.
We should definitely do that. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you'd like to see content like that. So like, what's the previous episode that people can check out if they're interested?
Well, the previous episode, Reno, is an episode, it's one of my favorite episodes, actually, is we have a phenomenal discussion about the things that we love. I hate this. This is the dumbest running joke that we have on the podcast, where we can never, whenever we ask each other, we can never remember what the previous episode is on. The previous episode was on a combination of Jump Light Odyssey and Genshin 4.0, where we had a conversation about Genshin 4.0 and like what your initial impressions are for that, as well as your initial impressions of the media early access for Jump Light Odyssey, which is a space game that is to end all space games until Starfield probably comes out.
The space game to end all space games until Starfield
for the next like 2 weeks. Yeah, no, but it's also just like we have a beautiful discussion about like why that's Jump Light Odyssey is kind of like a little bit different than other games, and why you should definitely check it out, whether it's like for the cartoony art style or just kind of like the care that they're putting into the game. And it's obviously early access, so it can only improve from here. But I thought it was a really fun discussion, and it's cool that you were able to do early impressions for Genshin 4.0, but also impressions for Jump Light Odyssey.
Yeah, but I think if folks are interested in space or mecha or things like that, we should have a couple of exciting new pieces of content in the pipeline. So
I think we can announce it, right?
Announce it.
You know, just say we're reviewing Armored Core right now, and can I tell you something, Rena?
Okay. What if I said no?
Yeah, exactly. I'm playing Armored Core and I do want to review it on the podcast. It's kicking my ass. And I don't know how long it's going to take me. It's kicking my ass right now. So that's number one. But number two is I think we can share that we will be playing Starfield in the next week. Yes. So major love to the folks at Bethesda. And it's just awesome that we will be covering Starfield on the channel. So look out for that content as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I want to see your mech though. Going back to Armor Core, I want to see. I want to see that. I bet it's like Eva colored. Like I will.
Yeah.
I 100% bet. Like there was like a
Subscribe
tweet
to the
from,
channel. Yes. The Radiant Gardeners. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it was Jane Park.
Oh,
And
Gene, yes.
He tweeted this like a year ago, I think, and then he retweeted it, and it was like, for everyone who's going to play Armor Core, here's the color palette for Eva.
Yep. Exactly.
Which is amazing. But also, you did a really amazing unboxing for the swag you got.
Oh yeah,
Bandai Namco.
Major love to Bandai Namco, and we were able to unbox a exclusive Southeast Asia controller case of Armored Core 6. You can check it out on the 20M Instagram, and I think it's reshared from on all our social channels, but it's primarily on my social feed. But yeah, major love to the folks at Bandai Namco for sending us over both the code for the game to stream, but also like the game for us to review, and the awesome controller case, which I have like right here. But you can check out the full unboxing. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Ooh, very nice.
You can check the full unboxing on the social channels.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's everything for this week.
Go watch our Jump Light episode. Go watch our Genshin episode. Check out our interviews. Let's talk more about anime. Thanks, Rino. This was a lovely discussion.
Yeah. Thanks, Arief. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.